The purpose in a man's heart is like deep water, but a man of understanding will draw it out.
Welcome to It Doesn't Take a Genius.
Ramsey!
Hiya there, Marshall. I'm excited to do a part 2 of our most recent episode about how even scientists now know that coaching works. We can talk about how you do it.
Yeah. If you missed that, go back an episode. That was
You
killer.
should.
That was good stuff. We were right the whole time. I like any meta-analysis that agrees with me.
I'm glad we know what meta-analysis is now. This is even,
I had to look it up for the last episode. I feel woefully unprepared based upon your opening quote. That's deep.
Yeah, it is deep.
Say it again. Say it again.
So it's Proverbs chapter 20 verse 5. The purpose in a man's heart is like deep water, right? Just like well water, right? Way down deep in there. But a man of understanding will draw it out, right? He knows how to get that bucket down in there and draw out all the water that's in the well. And every man's got deep water in him. Every woman's got deep water in her. And good coaching brings that stuff to the surface and creates awareness. So part of my training, that an ancient proverb like that shows that, there's something to coaching. Coaching is a new profession. I mean, it is a relatively new profession. I think most people trace its origins to psychologists and so on, working in the 80s, 90s, sort of coming up with a new field that dealt with people who were, not, quote unquote, not broken, but needed some help getting unstuck. And that, that's my layman's attempt at summarizing, the start of the coaching profession. But it is kind of a new thing. And it's also an ancient thing to say there are people who have enough understanding to help you draw out that water, figure out your purposes, figure out what's going on inside in a way that allows you to take a next step. And that's how I define coaching. So we've got a white paper on it, and we'll send it to anybody who listens to this episode and drops us a line. But we kind of wanted to summarize some of what's in there to talk about, tips on using a coach, right? Like if it's all that great, how do you do it effectively? So that's what this episode is about.
Oh, that sounds fantastic. Yeah, because I'm picturing my well. The water's frozen. I've put boards on top of it and a concrete block.
Yeah, right.
And
yet there is water down in there, right?
Yeah,
that's the beauty of it is.
It's there. I've covered it up. I've buried it. I'm excited to hear. And for the audience to know, both of you, that I am hearing this at the same time you are. So
right.
I'm excited to hear what Mark's got to share.
Well, it's similar to the white paper or the research paper from last week because that was brand new to me that you had found. So I that's why I love doing this. We've always got stuff to share with each other. But so I guess I will. I'm gonna give you sort of my goals with coaching and sort of what it is, but it's a process. Coaching is a process. It's not an event. You go in and do a coaching and then it's done. It's a process that you go through to help a client, the person you're coaching, think through their opportunities. And it's meant to be positive but challenging at the same time, right? Mm-hmm. We're going to come at this excited about the possibilities of what you could achieve. But we wouldn't stop at just, yay, everything's perfect. We'll also challenge. And so it's a conversation where I'll ask questions. I'll probably make some observations. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but because I'm asking these questions that are thought-provoking, because I'm making these observations that are maybe a perspective you haven't seen before on yourself or on your situation, a couple things happen. You get some new awareness about yourself or about the situation, and you actually take action, right? So progress is made over the long term of the coaching process because you're coming to an awareness and taking action. Notice that you could do that in a lot of different ways. Mike and I often do it sitting in a manager's office at a car dealership. Sometimes we do it over the phone, over Zoom. Really, all that matters is you're able to have this conversation that's an ongoing conversation, week after week, month after month. But that's what you should expect if you're hiring a good quality caliber coach, is those conversations with questions and observations that lead to awareness and action. So that's my summary of sort of what you and I at our core do for a living.
Oh yeah, no, I think it's wonderfully well said. The idea of we're going to go into it with the assumption that the capabilities are there, and that with the right discussion we can bring those out in such a way that you can take action upon them to achieve a different result.
Yeah. And think about how this ties in with the research paper from last week, right? Because there was some goal setting, and then there was some behaviors that were changed, and then there was feedback, right? Well, that's really another way of saying here are the outcomes that happen along the way of this conversation, because, I've got new awareness. You know what? I could change this behavior to reach that goal I told you about in our first conversation that you keep bringing back up as if you actually care for me to accomplish that goal. And let's do some feedback. Is it happening? What's working? What's not working? What would you need to change? What's getting in the way? You're having the conversation over and over again, but it's really what is in the paper. What's not in the paper, and what is not what we typically do, but sometimes do, is, let's say, training. Let's just say training, and sometimes even advice. I'll even throw advice in there. So most people do not want a pure coach who is only going to make observations and ask questions. They want somebody who's got some expertise that they're bringing to bear. They have some tools and resources to bring to your disposal. And would you not agree that we both do that on a regular basis? It's just that we do it in a very careful, specific coach approach way.
100%. Yeah. And sometimes you'll get the exasperated, you'll be talking about, all right, so what would be the next steps? Right. What else could you do? And they just throw their hands up and go, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I've tried everything I know to do, and I'm out of ideas. Right. Yeah. And you have to be careful, because sometimes people want to take the shortcut and claim they're out of ideas so that you'll fill in the blanks for them.
That's correct.
So once you see the true exasperation of, I don't know what else I could try.
Yeah.
And then, you can ask permission, right? Would you mind if I share a couple things I've seen people do over the course of my career? Yeah, no, that'd be great. That'd be great. And share a couple things. And even with those things you talk about, you're not going to do any of those things exactly like the example I just gave you. Right. It'll be some version of that fits you, right? Your personality, your style, your approach, your team, your whatever the circumstances are that you're in. So, even though we will offer up maybe some training and some advice, it comes with a caveat that you still have to make it your own.
Yeah. And I love, your example of I don't know. Because goodness, if they knew, they wouldn't have hired a coach, right? Like that's why we're having this conversation. And I kind of like to double click on that and say, great, you now know what you don't know. Now let's work on that. And maybe a brainstorm comes out of that, and I try to let them go first, like you said. I don't want to just fill in the blanks. But the analogy I like is which hat you're wearing. So maybe I find out that, there is a training opportunity that would work for you. I have this tool. I can teach you how to use it. I'll ask permission, and then I'll put my training hat on and I'll show you the tool. And then I'm going to take the training hat off, right? And I'm going to put my coaching hat back on and ask some questions so that you can process if there's any new awareness here, which you might use to take action, right? And I think you actually taught me one of the best questions, which is, what could you do with this? Right? Like I want to put it in your lap and just say, you see the tool. I hope I've shown some value. Now, where do you see this fitting in with the way you do things?
No, absolutely. And sometimes you'll find out retroactively that training is needed.
Yeah, that's fair.
So yeah, you'll talk, and they'll come to the conclusion, right? I need to sit down and have one-on-ones with my people. I'm going to spend 20 minutes with each of my team members and find out what's going on. You're like, fantastic, fantastic. So you come back, a time period later after they've done that first round, and you go, well, all right. So what went well? Well, it seemed like everybody appreciated spending time with me and having some one-on-one times. All right. So what are the opportunities? I didn't find out anything
Right.
that was useful. And you go, okay, now I'm going to take my coaching hat off, put on my training hat. Let me teach you, if you're willing, let me show you a few things that you could say or do that would get you the information that you're looking for so that you could accomplish your goal, make the workplace better, improve
Yeah.
customer experience, whatever the goal is. And then they're very receptive to it. One of the keys to adult learning is you have to prove to adults they don't know what they're doing in regards to that skill.
Right.
So you have to prove that, yeah, your coaching skills may not be as amazing as you think they are. And so they
Yeah.
go out, they try it, and they're like, it was good, but I think it could be better. All right, so let me give you a few things that you could do here. Again, make it your own. What could you do with this? And then they go back in, and lo and
Yeah.
behold, it gets a lot better.
I think that is well said. So let's move into sort of a final area that I think a lot of people are concerned with, and I think 100% validly concerned with, is how do I evaluate a potential coach, right? Like, how do I find somebody who's actually a coach? And the reason I say this is super valid is because it's not licensed. It's not like a CPA or an attorney or a therapist. Having said that, I have had some clients who said, "Man, you're better than my therapist. Like, I actually talk about real stuff here." So, hey, nobody be offended by what I just said. But it's not a licensed profession, and so anybody can stick coach after their name, right? There's no state board to pass, or a bar to pass, or anything like that. So anybody can call themselves a coach. So there are some things you can do, and some of these are bigger things and some of these are littler things. Obviously, if you have a referral, that's golden, right? So if somebody has referred a coach to you and it's somebody you trust, like, let's start there, because that's what real people do in real life. This is the way anything works. But beyond that, there are legitimate organizations out there that provide credentialing for coaches. Some of them have become sort of good housekeeping seals of approval. I've got one with the International Coaching Federation. I've got the Professional Certified Coach designation. Took a lot of work, took some money. That there's some proof there that I've invested in myself to make sure I'm at that PCC level. So credentialing is one way to do it. I don't think every coach has to be credentialed. I don't think that's the way this works. I don't want us to be a government regulated profession. But since anybody can say they're a coach, that's one of the ways that you can verify that there's a stamp of approval on this guy, that he's legit and not just sort of making it up as he goes along.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one side. The other side of the coin, I think, is chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
It's chemistry. So that is something that is maybe a little more subjective, and not quite as objective as a credential. But you could hire the smartest person in the room, but if you don't click, you don't click. And it's nothing personal, right? The coach may be feeling the exact same way. And what I would say is, ask yourself this question: will I be comfortable opening up to this person about where I'm stuck? Right? If I'm not willing to be transparent with this person after about 3 sessions, maybe this isn't the right fit for whatever reason. It could be a you thing, it could be a them thing, but you got to be comfortable with this person actually opening up.
Oh,
So
definitely. Yeah. So yeah. Referral, some certifications, and most of all, the chemistry.
yeah,
I would add that sometimes it's nice to have somebody who's coached in your industry.
uh-huh,
Yeah, if somebody's familiar with your business and organizational structure and things like that.
yeah. And sometimes for the exact opposite reason that sort of is the partner of that idea, somebody who has never worked in your industry, somebody
Hmm.
who is completely outside the fishbowl and has none of the preconceived notions and can just sort of, they're not going to use the why question, but they're kind of wandering around going, why do you do that? Why do you all do that? Why is this a thing that happens in your industry? And they're uncovering stuff that's just been, learned behavior over time that we've even forgotten why we do it. And
Oh yeah.
you break down some barriers that way.
And it's something, kind of along the lines of what, like you talked about, subjective is, you know, what I'm looking for in a coach is somebody who's insanely curious.
Yes, have
I,
to
w-
be.
I want somebody who just wants to know how everything works, including the people. Like I want to,
Yep.
somebody who's just ate up with trying to figure out how does this all fit together? How does it work? What are the things that are going on? And somebody who's got that will dig, and in the process of digging, uncover some of the water that's in your well.
I think that is very, very, very well said. It takes a very active brain to be coaching in a good way. I might not say much, right? I may need to hold back and just let you have the space to do the thinking. We've talked about the 80-20 rule many times on this podcast, but I need to be actively thinking about your life, your business, what's going on in your world so that I can be that kind of curious.
Hmm.
And let's close with one last thing, and this is just kind of it's because I know people are thinking like I don't even know what this looks like other than what I've seen sort of lampooned in the movies because I think there are some really good lampoonings of office place therapists and coaches and so on and it deserves to be made fun of sometimes. My dad was a consultant for years, and he always appreciated the fact that a consultant is anybody 50 miles from home paid for their opinion. Like
Hmm.
that was all it took. Uh, but having said that, if you are 50 miles from me, right, some clients like to have the coach on site, and not everybody. Not everybody. I have a lot of clients that would really prefer it to be over the phone a couple times a month. We have a 45-minute conversation, and then they go do the thing that they figured out on our call. But some like to have us on site, and what happens is, certainly we could do some training, but also we can observe the client. We can observe the workplace. We better understand the struggle that the client has with interactions, with meetings, with a certain department, whatever it is. And so having somebody sort of shadowing you in the background can be awkward, and obviously it's a little more expensive because we have to be somewhere for a day and travel expenses and all that. But I would encourage clients to think about this, that this actually is a way to earn goodwill with your coworkers, right? And so this is in the white paper, but you might say something like this. I don't want you to be worried about the presence of Mark over there in the corner. We've got an observer in our meeting today. I'm working on improving my communication with you all, and so he's here for me, not you. So you all just keep doing your thing. He's here for me, and you admit to that, right? That kind of transparency, you impress coworkers that man, we work for a guy with a guy. We work for a boss who takes improving himself seriously. So that's one way to do it. Video recordings are another way to do it. But we can further our observations and not just our questions by being on site. Doesn't work for everybody, but I just want to throw that out there that that's part of the coaching process for a lot of people.
Oh yeah. Well, even I get a kick out of if I'm doing the manager would like me to observe them coaching one-on-one with a team member.
Yeah.
So you're in the room, and the poor team member comes in, and there's his manager, and then some unknown human.
Yeah.
Right. They're like,
is this a tribunal?
yeah, yeah. Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition, and they get a real kick out of when I say, listen, I'm not here, to interject with you. I'm here to critique your boss. And they go, yeah, that's what just get after him. So they kind of, smile a little bit, and then, you fade into the background and just observe. But you can take away the initial resistance, the initial fear, just by letting people know that this person's trying to, improve, how they work and how they come across and how they coach.
Well said. Well said. Well, we wanted to make an episode about this because we just talked about, it's now been proven that coaching works, but, still for a lot of people, it's like, what is a coach? What are they doing? How would I hire one? How would I know that they're a good one? What would it look like if they, started working with me? So hopefully this episode educates some people, and, I guess it's going to be a growing profession over time. It's going to be, injecting in more and more industries and fields. And this episode isn't necessarily meant to just purely get us work. It's more like a service for a bunch of people that would never be good coaching clients for us. These principles ought to still apply. So we hope we helped you.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I had probably the best way I've heard it summed up as far as what we do. I had a general manager I'd worked with for years. We hired a new manager, and the general manager was introducing me to the new manager. And he said, "This is Mike. He helps us do what we do, only better."
That's really good.
I'm like, yes, I that is, couldn't have said it better myself.
You need to put that on your business card. That's good.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was, fabulous. So, and speaking of always doing it better, our biggest fan, our announcer, pro bono, Mr. John Wolf. So take it away, Mr. Wolf.
And that, I guess, is that. It doesn't take a genius. No rights reserved, nothing trademarked, copyrighted, or even original. Feel free to give it to anyone, anytime, using any and all media formats. Warning, Mark and Mike may or may not make another one. I'm your announcer, and I did not get paid a nickel to do this. They won't even let me tell you my name. So, until next time, if there is a next time, stay safe. Be well.
That's good enough.